back again. It's another episode of your favorite jiu-jitsu podcast, the Fistful of Collars. Welcome to the party. Okay.
Nice.
Howell Teague, Chase Smith, Reed Connell, and whoa, for the first time we're joined by our shooter extraordinaire. This is Tony Stolfer. What's up, Tony?
Hello.
Hello. Just to explain, Tony is one of our Flow Sports crew members. He goes around shooting all the cool documentaries and stuff that you may have seen on FloGrappling, including films such as
Eddie Bravo, Building an Empire.
Mackenzie Dern.
Salvador Ribeiro,
Cyborg,
Yuri,
Danaher Death Squad, ADCC.
DDS.
He's been
You
around.
name them,
all of them.
I've probably shot it.
All of them, basically.
Yeah. There's a couple I haven't.
A couple, I guess, the Lucas Lepre, Tyler shot, and Cobrinha. But most of them, yeah.
I'd say
And
90.
the other
Yeah,
thing is
90%
that
90
for
up.
sure.
Tony is a jiu-jitsu guy, not just pretty face, right? Not just the camera wizard, but he trains.
Sometimes I do jiu-jitsu.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You're on the mat
When
like
I'm-
every day.
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I travel.
It's it's pretty tough when you're on the road, though, right?
It is tough, but fortunately, I get to travel and shoot jiu-jitsu things a lot. So it's
You got an MMA background too, right? You did some MMA
yeah.
fights.
I had
Frozen.
I had 4 fights in MMA, amateur. So that was where I kind of got started. But yeah,
Cool.
jiu-jitsu
So-
after that. Since then.
Well, it's pretty cool to have you
Great.
here, right?
Thanks.
Just shaking it up. Will's actually in Miami, right? He's there doing Fight to Win this weekend. That's a pretty crazy card.
That was a great one, right? Wagner Hosha, Bill Cooper.
Pumped to see Bill Cooper back on the scene. It's gonna be great.
Always fun to see him. AJ Agazarm's on there. John Combs and Rico Coco. That's a great
Sleeper match of the
yeah.
event, maybe, I think.
Anna Carolina Vieira versus Amanda Alekian as well. Another great match.
Yeah, I was there for, I don't know which Fight to Win that was. Fight to Win Tampa Bay there with Wagner and AJ in the main event, and that atmosphere was definitely, that was a great one. It was packed full of Fight Sports and Gracie Baja guys. So
Fight Sports is bringing like 35 people or something. It's crazy. So
Yeah, I think this Fight to Win record, Fight to Win Pro has set a record. It's like the most black belt matches on one event, right?
That's
that
crazy.
they've done.
That's crazy.
yeah, so
20 or something?
Will's at the weigh-ins tonight. We'll start getting some on-the-ground coverage this evening when all the fighters roll. And we're gonna have AJ and Wagner in the same room. So already we're
Who
kind of
knows?
curious
Who
what
knows what
might
could
happen
happen.
tonight. So
Yeah, those guys are pros. I think that they've moved on from that. That was what, like a year and a half ago now since that
That was a while ago.
that memorable moment.
That was a while ago, for sure.
Yeah.
we'll see.
But
we'll see.
We'll see.
Lots to talk about in jiu-jitsu this week. It's been a busy week. There's been a lot going on. I think one of the things that really wanted to talk about today actually is, and this is great because it came off our conversation with Craig Jones last week, right? We had Craig here in the studio, and he's known for his leg locks and stuff. And then a couple of days ago, Craig's coach and training partner there in Absolute MMA in Australia, Lachlan Giles, posted up that great article, stroke post, whatever you want to call it, all about the real dangers of heel hooks. And I think one of the reasons why we brought Tony in. Tony, you know a thing or two about heel hooks, huh?
Yeah, you know, I like heel hooks.
Yeah.
I do.
I don't mind them. I don't have I'm not a master at heel hooks by any means. But no, we practice them at our gym, and I see the advantage in having that skill set over people who don't, especially larger opponents. You can get underneath them and attack really well. So I like them. I enjoy them. And I think the controversy. There's a lot we can go into that, the different parts of that. But training them early has definitely helped me, be aware and just kind of not get injured practicing them.
Because Chase and I train at Paragon Austin here, and I think we're primarily a gi school, and we do no gi at least once a week, but primarily we're a gi school, so we're not exposed to heel hooks as much on an everyday basis. Would you say?
No, I think that goes for the majority of people in jiu-jitsu, right? If you train gi, your exposure to heel hooks in general is pretty limited, right? Because most gyms don't train heel hooks in the gi. And if you try and throw up a heel hook in the gi, people get pretty pissed off, right? Because it's
Usually.
like it's not the done thing.
Yeah.
My background is definitely similar to yourself. A lot of MMA and no gi back in the day, but I've been doing pretty much nothing but gi for the past 8 years. And I can count the amount of times, like one hand, anybody's tried to do, or I've tried to do a heel hook. You know, it's like I'm not about that heel hook life.
So it was a couple years ago you did MMA, and it was a couple years ago you did MMA too. Were you guys training heel hooks then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never saw any issues with it in the gym. I never saw anybody get seriously injured by a heel hook. Have you?
No, I've never witnessed it. No, but yeah, I mean, you train martial arts. That's part of it. You know, ripping people's.
I've seen other serious injuries. I've seen legs and arms dislocated or broken, or different things happen. Guys get cut open and split open. I've seen knee injuries, but I've never seen an injury from a heel hook in the gym because I don't think people. They don't rag it on in the gym, right?
Man, you know what's funny is, now that we're mentioning it, I think I've seen way more toe hold injuries. And at our gym, in the gi, anyone can do a toe hold, like white belts, it doesn't matter. But
wow,
I mean,
easy now.
People throw them on, and it's, a white belt usually can't even figure out quite how to finish it. But
I'll be honest, if somebody threw up a toe hold on me if a white belt, I'm a black belt. And, I will roll to the rules of that guy's belt rank, So against a purple belt or a blue belt, I'll go for straight ankle locks. But I won't be looking for knee bars. I won't be looking for toe holds because it's a brown and black thing under IBJJF rules, right? And that's just the consequence of the gyms that I trained at. That was the done thing. If a white or blue belt started trying to go for toe holds after me, I'd have to have fucking a word with them afterwards. Like,
You're
seriously.
switching rule sets. You're switching to
MMA.
MMA rule set.
Combat jiu-jitsu.
Once, man, when I was training at De La Riva in Brazil, we would just get visitors all the time. That place had revolving doors because it's right in the middle of a major tourist area, and it's De La Riva, so everybody wants to come in and train there and stuff. So a lot of the time, I'd just be training with guys I'd never seen them before, I'd never see them again, and everybody's different, right? And I remember there was this one brown belt from somewhere in the north of Brazil. He came down, and he was pretty good. We were having a good roll. I think I was still a brown belt at the time too. And we'd just get into a position, and the guy starts kind of like doing that thing of like reaching back, and I'm thinking, whoa, is he right now? Is he? And he sort of starts like putting his hands together, and there was that moment where I was like, and I kind of had to suck it in. I was like, swallow it back down. And I was like, we don't do those here. Because I mean, if he had, and like I would have escaped, I would have happily put one on him too. But I kind of think in the back of my mind, where does that stop? The escalation just goes, and the next thing you know, it is fucking MMA, right? So.
There's a culture difference there, right? It's like some people were brought up doing them from the beginning, and then others traditionally haven't been. So
especially Brazilians, right?
Yeah, and I think that's,
they don't train it.
I think that's part of the reason of the controversy is that a lot of this has to do with, we were talking earlier, the match that we were looking at, where someone doesn't tap soon enough, and there's a level of control involved in any submission hold that when you're in danger, and when to pull in. The toe hold situation with Hamla Bahal and he knew when to tap.
Yeah, that was his choice. He just didn't want to.
Yeah. So I think
the problem with the heel hooks is sometimes you can't.
There's an ignorance. Well, no, I think that there's an ignorance to the position, and I think a lot of that has to do with not trying those in your practice early. Yeah. And you have to develop a culture in your gyms if you're going to do things like that to take care of your partner.
Yeah, no, this is interesting about your gym because you guys have mentioned this a bunch of times. Whenever guys from your gym have gone to train with you or vice versa, it's like you guys don't do heel hooks in the gi, where a lot of your guys do.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. We don't shy away from it.
Mind blowing to me, to be honest.
Sure. And it can be if you're not used to that type of culture. And like I said, we try, and I hope it's universal, but we try to build a culture of take care of your partner. Your partner is there for you to learn, and also for them to learn from you. So if you start to impose damage on people, you build a reputation, and people don't want to roll with you anymore. Well,
let's get into what Lachlan was talking about specifically there, because he was talking a little bit about how it is a little bit different in training and in competition, where he's saying that I haven't seen a lot of injuries with heel hooks in training, but I have seen a lot of injuries with heel hooks in competition, and it's true. It's like a lot of times at ADCC, a lot of these other competitions, and guys in a heel hook, like you're kind of just waiting for him to scream out, basically.
Guys will let it go as far as they can.
What happens.
Right? up until that point, they'll think, I'll just resist, I'll hold out until I can possibly escape. And sometimes, you can do that with a different leg lock or a different arm bar or whatever. But a freaking heel hook, it's like, as soon as it gets to that point, there's no more give. It just bang, it's gone, right?
Yeah, Giles did a great job explaining in that article he put out that the margin for injury is much smaller. He said it was like 2 centimeters that you can only move the heel, and then you're already prone to injury, whereas it's much further. It's like 40-something for an arm bar to go into a dangerous area. So, when you're not tapping, you think you can resist. It only takes just a little bit more. So.
We want to play this video here. This is from ADCC trials here, Oceania trials, Lachlan Giles versus sorry, I forget this guy's name, but he's from Kazakhstan here. Yeah. It doesn't quite do this clip justice without the sound, I feel like, but but you can see he's working on a heel hook here. Anyway, he's working on isolating that leg. There, he gets it right here.
And at this point, the guy should very well, if he can't get
dead
the foot wedge,
right there.
should have.
I mean, he held out way longer than he should have. And you can look at Lachlan's face, man.
And what you're missing on the video there, if you want to find it on YouTube, because there is a very palpable snapping
or
sound.
That's not your thing.
It definitely sounds.
Do you want to roll it back? Play that one more time. Let's take a little look, because
please, let's watch that again.
See how long he's actually in there holding out from that. Because normally one of those reverse heel hooks goes on, you feel it straight away, right?
Right here. I mean, you can see.
I feel like he's looking. Go ahead.
Like right here. I mean, his leg is all the way extended. His heel is like pointed towards the ceiling. It looks like
he's completely compromised, and he realizes his left leg is not getting in between. It's not going to separate the control there. So at that point, you have to abandon ship.
Yeah, he's got a super deep bite on the leg.
The hips are in.
Yeah.
Oof.
What's crazy too is when he screams out, it doesn't even look like Giles turned anymore. It just
finally gave.
And it almost looks like he didn't have any.
Actually,
he looked like he didn't want to tap.
Saying that, there's that moment where they roll and you see like Lachlan rolls to his right here. There. And that's the moment when the guy screams. I think that's literally the difference between not getting injured and being out for 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But that guy, he did come back 6 months later, right? Won his invite to ADCC. We saw him there representing Kazakhstan at ADCC Worlds.
And just to play devil's advocate here, to go back on what you said, comparing that to an armbar, right? So there's a point of control where the armbar is dangerous. It's going to tear some ligaments if you stay there longer. So I think that it can be applied the same way with a heel hook.
Well, they say that
if you know the position well enough.
But they say there are less pain receptors and nerve endings there inside the knee, so maybe you'll feel the damage in another joint lock, and you'll know, okay, that's the point where I really need to tap now, otherwise serious harm's going to occur. But like your knee just bends and bends, or it just twists and twists and twists, and I don't feel anything. I think that's the mistake that so many people make, right? They don't feel anything, and they think, oh, I'm not going to get hurt, and then bang.
That's the toe hold, man, because I've had my ankles ripped on a few times in competition, and you don't want to tap, and it doesn't hurt. So you're trying to spin out of it, and all of a sudden there's a little snap, and you're like, shit, there it goes. But thankfully, usually with the toe hold, it's just the ankle, and you can tape that up and move on with your life. But
I'd be curious to see the numbers just on how many heel hooks cause injury in competition. But yeah.
It's always fun to go to a Naga event and watch the advanced division, and like some people are great at leg locks and other people are just wrestling in advanced. You're like, oh my God, I've seen some injuries there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but then
again, it goes back to they don't know the position.
They don't know them. They don't know them.
If you don't know the position and you're not prepared for that, don't sign up for a rule set that can apply
which
those
I guess
techniques.
is why I don't think it makes any sense at all to train heel hooks in the gi, because there's like not a rule set anywhere that allows heel hooks in the gi.
Nope.
So then you're just kind of like training.
Just fight to win, not allow heel hooks?
No,
you can
or
fight to win.
No reaping in the gi.
Yeah, so like then you're training a position that is illegal in every tournament out there, and I feel like that's where a lot of times people get like angry about that stuff too. People will be like, we'll get DQ'd for reaping, and we can, reaping is different, but reaping or heel hooks or something like that, and then they get mad because they didn't know it was illegal, and then I feel like that creates more animosity about heel hooks and stuff like that. And
well, you mentioned a second ago as well about the whole the level of education about heel hooks as well. Muhammad Ali, for example, he qualified for ADCC by winning the trials in Brazil, And I remember I interviewed him like a week later, and he said, I need to go and learn heel hooks. Because he basically says, I won the trials with wrestling, and you know, he's a pretty physical guy, you know, great jiu-jitsu, he's been working on his stand-up, but he admitted like straight up, like, you know, this is 8, 9 months before the tournament, he's like, man, I don't know heel hooks, right? And I got to go learn them. And he kind of was joking, but as we saw in ADCC, that there was actually a moment there where he does get caught, right? And he got tapped by Gordon to a heel hook. But then there was another match, I think it was the 3rd place in the absolute, where he got tapped by Buchecha. And, well, do you want to run the
Yeah, I got it right here. This is a better angle when it comes in. This is just after, but yeah.
So this is the replay.
This is for 3rd place in the absolute division, right?
So sanded outside heel hook, and Muhammad rolls the wrong way. Instead of turning and rolling out of it and running away, he's in the motion of rolling to his left side, and Buchecha doesn't even have the heel.
He kind of just falls, like the way he falls on it, he hurts his knee there.
It's probably what he kind of tweaked from Gordon's.
Yeah,
well, possibly. But the thing is,
Gordon heel
the leg position and you know, the fact that Buchecha is actually controlling the way that his leg is held there.
It's not a healthy way to spin.
He heel hooks himself even without the heel hook. No, exactly. It's not a healthy way to spin. And that is that, like you said, the unfortunate, the ignorance. He literally was like, man, I need to get out of here. But then he rolls completely the wrong way.
And that's nothing against Ali's skill set at all, but obviously he admitted he needed work in that.
Well, and this was, I had a conversation with Hanato Kanuto as well at Kasai right afterwards, and he was going into Kasai, and he was like, man, he's like, I want to be an IBJJF world champion. He's like, that's what my last like 5 years or 10 years I've been training to become an IBJJF world champion. He's like, so why would I train heel hooks? You know, he's like, it has nothing to do with me. And then so when he went into Kasai, and he's like, I knew I was gonna have to fight Gary Tonin. He's like, so like I knew I had to like cram heel hook defense, heel hook offense. Like I had to get super hip to all that stuff because he said the same thing. He's like, I'd never trained him before.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's the level of these guys. They are literally, Hanato was, I think, just before he won the black belt world title at Nogi Worlds, right? But he had to do a crash course on heel hooks to compete at Kasai. It's insane.
Yeah.
But then you look at other guys like, you know, like Gary, who is considered one of the best heel hookers out there, him and the other Danaher Death Squad guys. And it's amazing for me, though, that Hanato could go up against and survive against Gary, you know, and not even come close to getting heel hooked in that match.
He did good.
Based on just a crash course. So it kind of shows what it takes. You can get there. You got that base, right?
Yeah, he impressed a lot of people.
His wrestling was amazing. I didn't think he'd out wrestle Gary, you know, and so that was, to me, the biggest shocker there. Was pretty cool.
But the heel hook thing, we see guys like, you know, in the EBIs, for example, you know, Gordon, Gary, and Eddie Cummings, they just ransacked those tournaments using a lot of heel hooks and stuff.
Yeah, like 90% of the finishes in EBI has got to be heel hooks.
And yet, maybe it's talking a little bit about the level of competition that they were facing in those tournaments, but you didn't see Gary, Gordon, or Eddie winning as many matches in events like ADCC or other super fights with heel hooks. If they were winning, it was like rear naked choke against Yuri, or it was like, you know, guillotine against Kit Dale, or you know what I'm saying?
It's a good point. Yeah. I don't know quite why that is, I guess, off the top of my head.
I think if you go back and look at, I mean, this is pretty sweeping generalization here, but the guys in EBI want to play the leg game as well. They're going straight into the double guard pulls and the entanglements. Whereas in ADCC, you see a lot of guys trying to avoid the position outright and passing from the feet maybe. It's just harder to initiate an entire sequence from nothing as opposed to winning in a leg entanglement battle. So.
Sure, and it has a lot to do with, you know, rule sets. That's what we're talking about. And so the difference in rule sets. But one of the most exciting matches, when you ask me what's one of my favorite matches to watch, is Gary Tonin versus Paul Harris. And if you apply that, you know, you mentioned heel hooks aren't. There's no rule set that allows heel hooks in the gi. You know, who's to say that can't happen in the future, and why or why not is that happening, or why is it not happening? And anyway, I would pose that question, I guess, to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I don't know, I am for IBJJF competitions adding heel hooks and reaping. I still
in Nogi.
In Nogi, yeah.
Right.
no gi.
Not heel hooks in the gi.
I don't know. I guess I
can't
don't-
get behind it
I
in the
can't
gi.
get-
Is
I
it
don't-
is
yeah.
it because of the grip factor, or what is the reason? What is the mechanism that the gi provides?
You
that
know,
allows
me
is it-
personally, what it is that I think, and we've seen this in the past in other tournaments that have tried it, is that the moment that you add in heel hooks, everybody goes leg fighting crazy, and they forget the other 80% of jiu-jitsu or whatever it is that's out there. You know, they stop passing the guard.
And
you know?
in your opinion, I assume that's less exciting to watch.
Well, let's
the
be
audience.
honest. A couple of years ago, there was a huge backlash against the Berimbolo game, right? About the seated guard pulls, and they called it the scissoring, right? It was like, man, bring back real jiu-jitsu, you know? And like two guys sat in their ass playing footsies. It's not exactly what the leg lock game is.
Yeah, it's
Right?
it's a common criticism. People who don't like it will say like, "Oh, is this sub only really more exciting? These guys just sit down and."
It's just because it's a more devastating finish. The whole leg fighting game was to go to the back for a Berimbolo, or it was to come up and pass. But it's like, oh wow, okay, so you can do a badass technique like the heel hook. So now sitting on your ass and playing footsies is okay. You know, me personally, I am for tournaments that have heel hooks, but I'm also for tournaments that don't, because I kind of want to see the rest of jiu-jitsu. I want to see passing the guard. I want to see taking the back. You know, I want to see top game.
Sure.
And all those heel hook crazy guys, like not counting the top level guys like the down the desk squad, because those guys do everything. But there are a lot of subpar leg lock specialists who are one-trick ponies.
Winning world-class tournaments by beating guys with that one tool.
No,
Yeah.
they're not winning world-class tournaments. Like, there are a lot of subpar leg lock guys out there who are maybe winning some matches, but with just that. And then you put them up against anybody decent, and they got nothing, because they're literally one-trick ponies, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
How I feel about it.
Yeah, no. I wish I could give you a better answer and why I don't support heel
I'm not
hooks in
against
the gi.
reaping. I'm not against
Yeah,
reaping
I'm not
the
against
gi.
reaping in the gi either, to be honest. I don't see how those two things correlate, to be
We were
honest.
talking about reaping yesterday, right? Because we were like in a position, it was off the back step when you basically go to like the inside sankaku, you know, I think that's what they call it, the 4-1-1 honey hole, whatever you want to call it. But basically, like, you can backstep off a standing guard pass or a knee cut and sit in that position. As long as you don't cut the heel, it's totally legal. The moment that you grab that lower leg and you tuck it underneath your armpit, that's reaping, boom,
Yeah.
DQ.
There's definitely been some
Right?
times where we've been watching matches and then all of a sudden the match is over and DQ and we're like, wait,
What?
What happened?
Yeah.
Who got DQ'd?
Because
How?
your foot
What?
passes an imaginary line.
Yeah, because your foot passes over and you're like, wait, what? That didn't.
And I've never, ever, I can honestly say this, I've never seen anybody injured off a reap.
Yeah.
It's
Never.
extremely uncomfortable too. I mean, a reap is a really powerful position,
It
and
is.
it really would change the game. To me,
Yeah.
currently in training, I do get frustrated if someone reaps me in the gi because I'm again like playing a game to try and compete with, and it's like, well, I can't even practice my counters to this because I'll never face them. So it's a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, I can also sit back and be like, well, this is overall improving my grappling in general. So.
Hey, actually, we've just got a comment here from Wagner Hoche. Wagner, who's competing this weekend, there on Fight to Win, and he says it straight. The level of it is higher, you know, of the competitors at ADCC versus EBI. So I guess those guys, they are just going to be so much more savvy to the leg game, and the base fundamental skills of not putting themselves in a position to be submitted in the first place is just going to be so much higher, right? I think everybody can agree on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I just like I like the state. I kind of like the state we're in, where we're just experimenting with different rule sets and adding,
agree.
and applying new ones, taking
Something
other
for
ones away.
everyone, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's great.
it definitely is sort of like a renaissance, a rule set renaissance that jiu-jitsu is going through.
Which is why it's important to have these conversations and talk about it and figure out, you know, like why are we not allowing this, or should we, you know, start doing more with the gi? I love the gi.
You know that there do exist tournaments where you can reap in the gi as well. It's that crazy rule set over there in Russia, the UWW grappling.
Oh, yeah.
So UWW is the global federation that looks after Olympic wrestling, right? Greco, freestyle, and they have their own style of submission grappling. It's basically jiu-jitsu, not called jiu-jitsu. They just call it grappling, right? And they have gi and no gi, and you can't heel hook in either, but you can reap, and you can reap in the gi. And I think it's like, well, why not? You know, you don't see any knees exploding.
Everyone's
as
still
a
walking
result.
over there. They've made it out alive.
They are Russians. They're probably all drunk on vodka, right?
Oh,
you know?
God.
Knees are exploding all over the world.
You know, they just came from fighting a bear, so it's like, whatever, I don't need these.
Bears reap all the time. Bears are the worst
known,
reaping.
Bears are known as knee reapers, for sure.
Could you reap a bear?
You'd have to. You'd have to reap
That's the only way. Too powerful.
And the other thing about heel hooks is you brought this up, you know, just there a minute ago, and you alluded to it too, Reed. It's like heel hooks, man. You know, it's that moment when somebody throws up a heel hook and tensions. Yeah, it says it all basically. Yeah.
You make eye contact. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your knee.
But you know, if you're not competing under rules where heel hooks are allowed, then why would you do something that is illegal? So that's a dick move, right?
Oh.
Personally, I think so. Right?
I mean,
let's say it straight.
Say it again, sorry.
If you're training, like you said, in the gi, and somebody throws up a heel hook, now you both know that it is not legal under any tournament format, and yet somebody tries to do an illegal move on you. Is it equivalent to picking you up and dumping you on your head? Is it equivalent to a can opener, neck crank? Is it equivalent to twisting the fingers? You're not allowed to do it under any rule set, so why the fuck would you want to heel hook me right now?
Yeah, I guess it's just obviously because it's such a hot thing right now. So like, luckily, like when people do go for heel hooks, I mean, we get to train all over, luckily. So when you go to different gyms, you know, everybody has a different thing that they do or a different style that they're good at, right? So, and I just think that heel hooks are so trendy right now. So like, I do expect it even wherever we go.
So you don't think it's a dick move?
No, I guess I would say it's a dick move. I guess I would still
But what's
say.
funny is that I feel the same way about it actually, but I don't feel upset if someone tries to knee bar me if they're a blue belt. Even that's outside their rules as well. For some reason, it's just heel hooks have a stigma,
but maybe
man. There's a stigma
and maybe
against
it
heel
is just
hooks.
like the bubble that I live in, you know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I guess I just bring a universal mentality to both, where like I play a fight game, and it's just like a lot of people claim, you know, neck cranks or jaw wrenching when you're choking someone from a rear choke is also a dick move, right? But if you're defending the
It's a good thing to
choke,
be.
if you're defending the choke with your chin and your chin gets in the way of the choke,
It's your fault,
that's
buddy.
your chin
Yeah.
in the way of my arm squeezing you.
Okay, so give us some example then. What are dick moves in the gym?
Dick moves in the gym, well, I mean, any intentional ball slap. Okay, or
That is a dick move.
quite literally, yes.
so there's a point, you know, you're playing your De La Riva hooks. I understand, but sometimes the De La Riva likes to.
You're gonna get a flick there.
Yeah,
whiplash,
so
the scorpion.
that's
Yeah,
one
happens.
thing. And maybe not a dick. Maybe they didn't mean to. One time's okay. If it keeps happening, like don't De La Riva me anymore. So that
Like a stomp pass, you
Yeah.
know, you got to make sure it's the inner thigh right there, right? Yeah,
right.
okay.
And then loop checks, obviously, those are kind of a dick move.
What?
Loop check.
What's a
Not
loop?
familiar with the. Do you ever roll with a lot of wrestlers?
A what?
Okay, so if you and again heel hooks. This is
What is a loop check?
when the large toe of your foot goes directly into the orifice you don't.
Oh,
You
wow.
don't. That is near. Yeah.
Oil check.
Man,
Oil check,
you have a
whatever,
very like low threshold or powerful threshold
Man,
for a dick
I-
move.
I just
like, that's
right.
Again, like
You're
maybe
a
it's.
grappling libertarian.
everything
Pretty much
else
anything
goes.
right?
I guess it comes from the
No
MMA
penetration.
background. I'm not sure, but yeah, man. If you come from something where someone's punching you in the face, and then you want to whine about a wrist lock in our gym, you'd be like, what are you talking about? You know, why are you?
Okay, so what about you then? What are dick moves? Like if somebody threw someone up and you'd be like, dick, come on.
I'm not cool with finger twisting or like grabbing individual toes. That's annoying, and that totally happens. Like,
Yeah.
I've never been oil checked, but I've definitely had my fingers.
Especially
grabbed.
like or people are
You're
like
gonna get oil checked now.
peeling grips
gonna
off a
happen.
collar or something like that when people grab like two
they
fingers or
they
one
say
finger.
grabbing the four fingers is okay, but you grab any individual, or that's
Yeah, I really don't like that.
I
That
give
is
them the
true.
thumb back, right? They peel a hand off with one finger, then I do the thumb across the neck to get it in. You know,
You just say to them
like
thumb across
no,
the
you
neck?
can kind of like peel under the jaw. What do they call it at the gym? Like
a can opener.
A can opener, or
So,
like.
guys, I just provided you with the perfect tool. So now, when someone pulls a dick move, a heel hook, and a gi on you, you
just
drop
go-
down and you loop check.
We loop check.
Immediately loop check.
Lube check. Okay.
Lube.
I was hearing loop.
I
with a
was
P.
hearing
Oh,
lube.
loop.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I was like,
lube.
lube.
Yes, like lubricant.
Oil check, loop check.
Like
okay.
a-
Okay.
like
Same
Jiffy
page.
Lube, yeah.
Like KY jelly or like
Gotcha.
oil.
Gotcha.
Understood.
What else
More
is it?
dick moves. Chin in the eye.
Chin in the eye. Yeah, it's pretty dick.
I
move.
don't get the chin in the eye often.
Well, Travis Stevens did it to Chase just the other week.
Very, very lightly. It was not a dick move the way he did it. It was more of a demonstration of
Big old stubbly chin.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
it would have been
I feel
brutal.
like Travis doesn't live by any dick move rules either.
No.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say. Dick move. Possum guard.
What the hell is
What
possum
now?
guard?
Possum guard is a dick move.
Oh, just lying flat like Gordon did that one time.
I think that's a dick move.
Old Jeff Glover special.
I do too. Knee on the jaw, straight away.
I almost did knee on jaw to you yesterday, right?
You
I
did.
I was nice because I put it here on your shoulder,
And I believe I said, "You bastard."
Immediately, yeah.
You could have dropped it on me. I would have tapped, but it's not a dick move. I think.
I got into a fight with somebody in the gym once because I did knee on jaw. I really did.
Did you
Remember
miss
I
the
told you
neck?
about that
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
I had
yeah,
at the
the
gym
jaw.
a couple of
I do
months
remember
ago?
that.
Yeah. So this guy came in and he was a blue belt and he was super aggressive and apparently he had an MMA background. I didn't fucking know, but whatever. The guy's a dick. And and he was being super aggressive with me and he basically I swept him from guard and he freaking upkicked me from bottom, like in the chest. His guard was whether it was just spazzy, his open guard, or whether he was literally trying to kick me off. But it wasn't a push; it was a kick. So at that point, I just threw his legs to one side and I went knee on skull, and that's the point where we pretty much started throwing and got separated. And then apparently the other guys were like, "Well, we've been keeping an eye on him, and to be honest, if it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. It was just a matter of time. That's the way he goes." But I've been knee on skulled, and I've never wanted to fight the guy afterwards. I'm just like, well, I don't want to get caught there again. I don't think it's a dick move.
I think up kicks are a dick move.
Up kicks are
yeah,
a dick move,
yeah.
because that's a strike. It's not a push.
Yeah,
I'd say that.
But definitely, if the guy is he's me pain from side control or something like that, I think he's earned the right to cause. If he's past my guard and stuff, and he's on top of me with a neon chin or something like that, then I feel like he's earned the right, and I gotta get the hell out of there.
For me, a dick move, and this is kind of this is one of those things where it's a very personal thing because I have neck issues and I've had them in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't like it when guys get a double underpass and they pick you up and they either pick you up and they drop you on the head, or they just do that double underpass when they fold you and they keep you there and they want to kind of just pressure your neck as far as they can up and chin to the chest, and they don't even try to pass, because that's a cervical neck attack, and again that's prohibited under any rule set. You can't do a cervical neck attack under IBJJF rules, right?
Wait, but I've
It's a
never
can
seen
opener.
anyone penalized for doing it from double unders.
Well, no, but we've seen people paralyzed from
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
And that, for me, is a risk that nobody should ever take. So if you're going to pick somebody up with the possibility that you might lose control and drop them on their fucking head and they're not able to walk, then huge dick move. Right. But just keeping somebody there, because there is a choke, right? You can do where you get the double unders and you put the hand around through and you do the neck and then you lift their hips up and you get the forearm across the throat. That's a choke. That's a legit choke. But you just keep the guy there and you just keep driving the hips forward and you don't even put the hands in and the guy's just stuck there. In effect, as a can opener. That's a dick move.
I've heard Guy Mendes is really, really good at doing that to people.
Stack pass?
For extended periods of
Just
time.
make them suffer.
Just suffering.
Yeah.
But
A good way to avoid that is, like I said, if you live by the culture of take care of your partner, I only do unto your partner as they would have do unto you or whatnot. I think that's a good way to avoid all that, It's like,
Wrist lock's not a dick move.
it's like,
Nah,
if you're going to fall, you want to brace your partner so they don't fall on their neck.
I mean,
that's-
I always go, god damn it, but I always laugh after I have a wrist lock. I'm like, oh, well, got caught with that. Shouldn't have
Good
happened.
one.
I think if you're getting upset more than once a month about something, then maybe you're too sensitive. I rarely find myself thinking that's a dick move. I get pissed off if I get submitted, or if not pissed off even, but
How do you approach
I'm
that?
competitive, but I don't really think they're a dick.
Yeah.
How do you approach it when something like that happens? What do you
Don't do what I did and get into a fight in the gym.
That is absolutely
Don't do that. I mean, it's a tough one, right? Do you go to your coach and do you whine about it? This guy was mean to me, Or do you have a word with them afterwards and hey, bro, come on, that wasn't cool. I'm trying to be nice about it.
I know where you stand on that, but
You guys have been here before.
Listen, we're saying about this, about how, you mentioned that if you're getting pissed off more than once a month, maybe jiu-jitsu's not for you, right? How many times have we seen threads on Reddit, people saying, was this guy being mean to me? Or should I speak to my instructor about?
it's almost always a white belt, by the way.
I would say whenever I experience it, I just if if somebody throws up a heel hook and we didn't talk about it before in the gi or something, you know,
Sign your
then
consent form.
I just choke them. I just say okay, and then I choke them.
Just leave it like that.
I like that.
I don't say anything. I don't say anything.
I usually get more aggressive, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
just get a little more aggressive and I choke them.
I think it's a beautiful way to handle it.
Just let the jiu-jitsu do.
I mean, I do.
talking.
Yeah, I think Gordon's right in that. Like, you shouldn't complain about any submission, really. I feel like Gordon says that.
I don't think I ever have a complaint. I just get angrier and try and fight
Again,
harder.
yeah, you choke them. This is a result of what
Which
you just
actually
did.
usually results into me getting heel hooked more because I start getting a little bit more aggressive, and then I'm not playing my game right, and then I get heel hooked again. I get angrier.
But the majority, I think, majority of us can say, like, if you're on good terms with your training partner, shit like that's not going to happen anyway, is it? It's usually people that you're not particularly close to.
Yeah, and that's the only
usually
reason why.
strangers.
And that's the only reason, really, why it would be considered a dick move. A lot of these things, I feel like, is if you're the first time you're rolling with somebody and some of these things
Yeah.
happen.
Like, if one of you guys did something like that to me, I'd be like, what? What's the issue here? I didn't realize that we were friends, you know?
Bro, did I eat your lunch?
Just straight for the heel hooks next time you roll, Hal. Just
But I
pull
mean,
it.
jiu-jitsu does say a lot, right? What happens
I believe
on
I've
the
heel
mat.
hooked every single, or I've tried to at least, heel hook every single one of you.
Yeah, you just you got to wait to get there yet, bro,
Yeah.
before you say heel hook me.
I see how it is, Tony. I see how it is.
Tony's going to be like,
Keeping
all right,
track over there. Next time.
Just figure why not? Yeah. No.
So okay, all right. Well, dick moves is a one. But
No, yeah, and I think you have too, right? I've competed in competitions with heel hooks.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, like when it's fair game, it's 100% fair
And you're right.
game.
They were all no-gi. I've never had a. So the tournament that I did, there were no submissions. You could do all submissions. All submissions were legal. It was originally going to be in the gi. Even scissor takedowns were legal, which I enjoy a good scissor takedown as well.
In fact, you hit one of those on me yesterday.
I did,
and I
yes.
had the moment. I'm like, was that a dick move? I was like,
Is that a dick
move? Is this a dick move?
I think it's amazing that John Danaher has banned it in his gym, and yet he teaches it as well, right?
Yeah, it is a risky one for sure.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But I probably have done. I mean, we did those back in MMA too. It was like a thing we studied a lot. So I really like it. And if you know how to apply it, again,
Yeah.
it's just like a heel. If you know how to apply it, and you post. You
Yeah.
don't put your weight on your opponent.
Right, and you did it super slow. I mean, obviously,
Right.
there's a way to do it controed versus like
Gary Tonan's just joined the broadcast.
Oh, nice.
Gary,
Oh,
we're time for the
we're
dick
talking
moves.
about
you, Gary.
Gary.
You missed it. But okay, so we talked about heel hooks and we've talked about dick moves. They're not the same thing, okay? But we've talked about both.
Context
But,
matters.
You know, these are very emotive topics in jiu-jitsu, right? People really have like strong opinions about heel hooks. People have strong opinions as to what constitutes a dick move or not. Another thing that people have strong opinions about, as we found out from some of the conversation recently, steroids.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Performance-enhancing drugs.
Welcome, Gary.
In jiu-jitsu. But this is a very controversial topic, right? Oh, everybody's like just silent. Right
Yeah,
now,
man,
kind
it's
of
hard
like,
to talk about it, right? It's hard to talk about because like
It
we
is.
don't know exactly where the line is drawn in jiu-jitsu. I think we all kind of know that like I don't know. Do we all know that it is a problem within jiu-jitsu? We've certainly heard that it's a problem within jiu-jitsu. I mean, just the past couple years in sports in general, it seemed like it's a huge problem, you know, from like the Olympics to MMA, you know, like it seems like all sports are really going through some sort of, you know, steroid genesis where they're having to readdress those rules and things. And
Well, I think you're right. All sports.
yeah.
All sports. Now, I can remember, like, man, I don't think it's never been an issue. You go all the way back to, like, the Eastern Bloc communist countries, state-sponsored doping programs from, like, the 1960s all the way through. And, you know, that was still an issue, as we saw in the Netflix documentary Icarus, right? That Russia is still doing that. That's why they got banned from the Olympics there. And then you're looking at every single major sport has had, like, a large-scale, you know, doping scandal or a series of incidents, everything from baseball to athletics to MMA.
Even just this at the Winter Olympics, the curlers got.
There were a few different Russians that were caught, I believe.
Yeah,
The
but
curlers were.
What drugs even help with curl? LSD? I don't freaking know. Right? It's the only thing that makes it entertaining. I don't know,
But I guess
You
like
shut your mouth, by the way. Curling is thrilling.
yeah. But seriously, nobody wants to talk about steroids in jiu-jitsu, right? Even though we've had people test positive, right? And we have to name names. It's public record. Paulo Miao, Felipe Pena, Gabby Garcia, Braulio Estima. These are guys who at one point or another have failed tests for doping, right? And whatever the reasons may be, they've been sanctioned as a result. So, you know, it's proven that it does occur, whether knowingly or not. People are doing it. And the only tournament in the world that actually tests right now, that we know that tests, is the IBJJF World Championships. So that technically means it's only illegal once a year.
Test, right? I mean, they test, but it's such a
test
small, it's a drop in the bucket.
they test. Yeah, I mean, you get
Champions.
Well, do
yeah,
they? Do they
one
test
test a
all?
year.
Is it just the gold medalists? Is it the entire podium? Is it? We're not
I believe
even,
it's random gold medalists. Is that?
We're not even entirely sure. The process is quite shadowy, and you know we know that it's accredited. It's all done by WADA. You know, USADA, which is the U.S. Anti-Doping Association, and WADA, which is the global governing body. But we don't really know too much about it, and you know it takes sometimes up to a year for the results to even come out of those tests because
they
of
can be
arbitration
challenged,
processes and challenges and so on. So you know, if it makes you think, well, if people are being caught at the World Championships when we know there are tests, what the hell's going on the rest of the time?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you should be able to cycle off. I mean, MMA, where we hear a lot about doping violations, those guys have 8-week camps and things like that, but they don't really know their schedule quite as clearly as when the World Championships is. And if there's that many fighters getting caught, there's more that aren't, and they're able to pull it off. So it's pretty safe to assume that the more clever jiu-jitsu guys might be able to get by pretty easily.
So the thing is, with like the bigger sports out there, the more professional sports, shall we say, because jiu-jitsu is still at that kind of the weird sort of border between professional and amateur, right? Like a lot of the professional guys have, whether it's day jobs or side hustles or whatever it might be, they're certainly not the level of like a Major League Baseball player or anything like that. So a lot of guys, you have to imagine, they're not doing it with the support of like a full medical team, supervising their doping and stuff. So maybe they're getting caught just through like ignorance of the procedures of using it. Who's advising them how to use it in the first place? Are they, are they just taking what some guy in the gym gives them?
They might not be up to date on all the banned substances. Maybe there's a new thing added. Another thing with these major sports like the NBA or NFL is they have really strong players associations that regulate their testing as well. Like the NFL and NBA, I believe, only have one test a year that's known a year in advance. So those guys can kind of do whatever they want as well.
Well, they say at that point it's no longer a doping test; it becomes an IQ test.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, and it's I believe things should be different for combat sports. I think they should be more focused. It should be, it should be focused more heavily in combat sports than it is.
So you think there should be
Steroid
more testing?
Steroid testing, yes. I'm sorry.
There should be more testing.
Absolutely.
And what do you think? How could they do it differently then? Should they do it both before and after, or what do you think?
As far as the approach, I can't. I'm not educated enough on how they do it right now to tell you what's going to be better or worse. But so I don't have an opinion on that. But I know they're not doing diligence right now, obviously.
And it's such like in UFC at least, it's such a mess lately. It's like Josh Barnett just got
again.
He got popped.
He got cleared.
Yeah, but then 15 months later, something he got cleared from it, and obviously a lot of guys are claiming tainted substance, so like they get a pass.
How many times can you use a tainted substance?
I mean, apparently limitless.
Yeah, apparently quite
how
a
many
bit.
times has Josh Barnett tested positive? Like I'm thinking, like first time he tested positive wasn't it like early 2000s, and he's tested positive multiple times since then.
And people always want to accuse the big beefy guy that's jacked, but like guys like him are doing it, and you wouldn't accuse that guy probably. He just looks strong,
But I just feel like the way that USADA has done things in the UFC, or I don't know how their relationship works exactly, but it doesn't feel like we've gotten anywhere. It doesn't feel like we've learned anything on how to prevent it. It doesn't feel like we've learned who's the bad guys and who's the good guys. It's so complicated.
Here's a question for you then: if there's only testing at one event per year, that means that it's only prohibited at one event per year, which means in the rest of the year, you're fine to take whatever you want. Now, let's talk about the ethical question there. But should steroid or performance-enhancing drug use, is it good to go then? Because basically, if you're only not allowed to take it once a year for the risk of getting caught and penalized, the rest of the time you're absolutely fine, what do we think then? Take whatever you like? It's no different to a protein shake?
I'm definitely not in that camp. I'm not in the let them do whatever they
free
want
for all
camp.
I would say that for baseball.
Yeah.
You can let the baseball players juice as much as they want,
Yeah.
but when you're slamming, when you're throwing people around, when you're ripping limbs off, choking people, strangling guys,
like
it's totally different.
in MMA fights where people are getting knocked out, and I still think of jiu-jitsu matches as fights. So I still feel like, you know, people can get their arms broken, get choked unconscious, like still
Physical
bad
damage,
Yeah, still
yeah.
bad things can happen to you. So
Okay, so then looking at it through just a purely jiu-jitsu lens now, like taking MMA out of the equation, if it's legal to do, then if everybody did it, it would be a level playing field, right? But then some guys want to do it, other guys don't. Do you really think that the steroids are going to be the defining factor as to why that person will win or lose a match?
Well, let's be honest, there is no level playing field first, I think. Even in genetics, you know, there's no level playing field. So, no, I don't think it should be ethically allowed, because that what you're doing is you're raising that ceiling. So instead of letting the genetics play the factor, like you're letting, you know, you're increasing that ceiling for.
I see what you're
everyone to
saying.
kind
So
of
there's like
inflate you.
genetically, there's less variance as to what is possible physically, right?
Yeah.
You're always going to have your super high performers and your guys who are subpar. But the athletic guys are usually, you know, competing. You're going to be in the higher kind of like
Sure.
part of that bracket, right?
Right.
But you're saying that steroids are going to give those guys an extra boost.
These genetic phenomenons, these dudes that can go at, you know, the age of 14 looking like this and then be 20 and look like this, and then they're just genetically structured to be, you know, like.
But then,
you're
does it make up for the
raising that.
jiu-jitsu technique?
Because
Because that's what jiu-jitsu is about,
We've
right?
seen a ton in high-level competition. How many guys have won just by beasting, like going as hard as they can?
I don't know. I
and I
don't
think-
know actually.
I
I
think
don't
there's-
know how many there are. Like I subscribe to the kind of the philosophy that, to be honest, I think, you know, like Kayotaro likes to say, technique conquers everything, right? To a degree. I mean, yeah, there are going to be some physical beasts. You just can't control them, you know, through pure technique. But even with the added boost of, you know, the physical extra that you get from performance enhancers, I kind of think that, you know, it's not going to make up for the lack of jiu-jitsu ability, and usually a very,
you're
very
saying that
good.
if I do steroids, you don't think I could take down Gordon Ryan? You don't think that?
How many steroids?
But what, yeah, exactly. So if the technique level is that different, right, the performance answers, they're not going to make up for that lack of jiu-jitsu knowledge, right? Even if you went out there and you just fucking just stalled out as much as you could and stayed strong, rock solid, it's probably going to catch you
Just
eventually,
with
right?
so much steroids coursing through your veins. Just
I think the only problem with that idea is that steroids aren't just going to give you a physical advantage on the day, where like you can be faster or stronger than that guy that you're in front
There you
of.
go.
But it also allows you to, over months, you know, train like at an unhuman level.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
you know,
That's
so
what they say, it's not-
you're
not-
gaining
not-
techniques that other just regular humans that aren't doing this stuff, you know, can't acquire in that amount of time.
You get
So-
more mat time,
right? So you're
because
getting,
it's all
yeah,
about the
right,
recovery.
right.
Like a lot of
It is
these
a recovery
performance
drug.
enhancers
I mean,
are just so that you can come back an hour or two later after that session and you're ready to go again. Whereas like me or you might take a day or two to recover from that shit, right? So
What's interesting too is they say, and I guess it shouldn't be surprising, is that the effects of steroids can be seen up to 3 or 4 years after you stop doing them. So someone that is an adult blue belt that knows they want to do jiu-jitsu and they make the commitment, like, okay, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to start doing steroids, they could juice their brains out for like 4 years and then start competing at black belt, never do steroids again, but have those benefits for like 4 years into their career as a black belt.
There's a solution right there. Every athlete just needs to follow that.
I mean,
protocol and we're all good.
don't do that. But
Juice until it's illegal.
I'm not recommending it. But what I'm saying is, I mean, that's the current situation. Is that it is pretty unregulated. You can see extreme benefits over years and not really face currently any consequences. So it's pretty much the Wild West in jiu-jitsu at the moment.
I think the testing needs to evolve. You know, I don't think we're at a point where like the testing is really as black and white as like we would hope it would be. So I think there's evolutions there that need to happen.
And it's hard to keep up too, right? Because people are just creating new ways
That's
of
true.
doing it.
That's
new
true.
Always.
Chemical
Yeah.
compounds that just slightly different.
I was reading an article the other day that the guys at WADA, they're looking into using artificial intelligence and creating specific algorithms to help detect doping cheats.
So they
because the level of science is at that level, you know, they are at the cutting edge. The cheaters are literally, you know, they are ahead of the guys who are the investigators, right? And the investigators are literally looking into AI as a solution to try and catch those guys. That's at the level these guys operate.
Do they test for marijuana at IBJJF?
Man, I don't know.
It's on the ban list.
I feel like
Yeah.
someone has been banned for it in the past.
I don't know about IBJJF,
No,
but
I've
it's
never seen anybody get
100% on
caught for
USADA's
IBJJF.
and WADA's list as a
Right.
banned substance. But it's an interesting point about designer steroids as well. And we were talking earlier about ceilings and athletic ability, but there's also going to be a financial ceiling for some athletes where they can afford the better drugs, the better steroids.
Jiu-jitsu guys aren't going to be getting caught for those drugs.
Exactly.
Those PEDs, those designer PEDs, the cutting edge ones, they're not going to have access to that. Maybe that's why they're getting caught, because they're using the off-the-shelf, you know, gym locker room, garden variety steroids, right? So, well, let's see. But I expect you'll probably see some more guys pop, right?
Oh,
At the moment,
no
it makes
doubt.
sense to do them. I think, in my opinion, it is low risk as far as your career if you're smart about it. So that's, you know, it's maybe poor as an ethical choice, and I don't want to see in the sport, but that's the reality, I think, at the moment.
Hey, I think it boils down to this, is that ethics aside, whether if it's not against the rules to do it for 11 months of the year or whatever it might be, you know, outside
Well, it is
of that
like
window.
illegal. Steroids are just generally illegal, right?
True. Yeah, but there are other drugs that are not, you know, illegal. However, they still have performance-enhancing qualities. But if you want to take those for the 11 months of the year outside that window or whatever it might be for, you know, the World Championships, then, you know, you're not cheating.
Are we pro steroids? Is that are we the baddies?
Basically, do steroids.
I don't like where this is going. It's taking a dangerous
Take
curve here.
steroids, win, win, win. That's the way it goes.
No, I definitely hope we can figure something out eventually. Figure something out how to even the playing field a little bit more.
To be honest, I think that jiu-jitsu kind of helps with that, right? I mean, like, you know, let's be honest, like, good jiu-jitsu, for me, will always be the greatest level.
But juicy jiu-jitsu meeting good jiu-jitsu.
Juicy jiu-jitsu, I like that, man. Maybe we should
I
get some
don't know.
t-shirts made with that.
Juicy jiu-jitsu.
Juicy jiu-jitsu.
Juicy jiu-jitsu / like big.
But
slash
you did pose an interesting question on your Facebook there. How many athletes would wear this patch?
How many? Can we just let's flip this around? So let's get this up on the screen there. Can we see that? There we go.
Other way.
This right here.
That camera.
There you go. All
Hey.
natural, steroid-free BJJ. This is
All natural, baby.
This is a patch that my friend Felipe Costa made. Felipe, of course, is a former world champion IBJJF, rooster weight, and very outspoken critic of anybody who is a performance-enhancing user. And I mean, it is a very good question. I asked the question, how many people would wear a patch like that? How many people could wear a patch like that? And the resulting conversation, whew, is everybody's diving on it. Kit Dale, Gordon Ryan, Abraham Mate, Livia Guhavska, Tommy Langak.
We know you've got a pretty fire Facebook account.
Well,
Name
it's,
drop.
no, I mean, DJ Jackson says that he'd wear it proudly. Kit Dale, Joao Gabriel Hocha, Tammy Musamenchi, they're all saying, like, yeah, that they
So
would
there
wear that. So
there's some supporters.
I like
There's
Dale's
some big
response there.
supporters.
How many could say they could?
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want the scrutiny. You know, I put the patch on, and immediately all eyes are on me saying, well, where'd you get those guns?
Immediately.
yeah, right.
Clearly you're on the horse pills, so.
But hey, when you've got this vegan movement in jiu-jitsu at the moment as well, like, you know, it's kind of interesting that you got guys who are sort of going that far away from, you know, like, man, if meat is considered a, you know, an off-topic subject, or a substance that you wouldn't ingest, then those guys are going to be super against things like
You'd think
performance
so.
enhancers.
You would think so.
Yeah, I don't know. They're talking about maybe an animal being I don't know, like a mental entity or something that's sentient, whereas steroids might just be vitamins, bro. No problem.
Yeah, very good
So you're
point.
saying if they're not doing it for their health, but just the sentience argument. Yeah. Yeah.
Potentially.
Absolutely.
I don't know their position,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, a very hot topic, and the problem is though it's very difficult to actually get anybody in jiu-jitsu. I think this is the most open conversation I've literally ever seen on the topic. People saying yes or no, they would or they wouldn't, they have or they haven't, or how they feel about it. But in general, it's really difficult
Test
to
everyone
get
that
people.
says they wouldn't.
But it's really difficult to get people to even talk about it properly, right? Like guys, it's like, oh, they don't
Yeah,
really
it's a
want
touchy
to talk
subject
about
for
that,
sure.
you know, don't want to piss anybody off, and you know.
There's always
hurt
those side
feelings.
smiles when you, because you look at certain gyms and you think, man, that guy's got to be on it. And you ask someone loosely about the steroid issue, and everyone's got this coy smile, like, oh, I don't know about that. I've seen things, and it's you don't want to like betray your teammates either. But that.
But then on the other hand,
Yeah.
I've seen, I've spoken to people who train in locations where you'd think it would be like, they probably like all, you know, like just hand them out like candy in that gym, and then guys are literally like, no, never come up in conversation once. If it does happen, it's super clandestine.
First rule about
So-
steroids.
Don't talk about it. What's
talk
it?
about it.
Chase, what's it like to
Yeah.
do steroids?
You feel powerful, bro. You feel powerful.
Awesome. Well, who knows? Maybe one day we can actually get a proper conversation going, and we might even be able to get some guys go on the record. And I think if we were,
Talk about it.
then let's see where that leads, huh? Cool. Well, on that note, I think this is a perfect time to bring things to a close.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. So heel hooks, dick moves, and steroids in jiu-jitsu. What a wild hour this has been.
I like that headline.
Yeah. All right, guys. Catch you again next week for another episode of Fistful of Collars.